staying safe. There is always safety in
Another
numbers
TV.
in terms of when you're with your friends. Because
Panasonic.
if something
Not had
were
this
to
one
happen
before.
to you, you have got your friends there to help you and look after you. We are still only seeing a very few number of crimes coming through, reports, etc. So we do want people to go out, enjoy themselves, but just be aware, make sure they've got their eyes on their drinks, they're keeping them with them,
Looks
and just
brighter.
keep in groups and stay safe. Chief Superintendent, thank you very
But
much.
the picture looks more natural
Thank
than that
you.
one.
And we'd like to hear from you on this, either if you've been affected or your thoughts on what should be done. You can contact us on email, look.east@bbc.co.uk. You can call us on 03457 630 630, or you can get in touch on social media. More hospitals in the region are cancelling all but essential visits as the number of COVID patients continues to rise. One medical director says the pressure on hospitals is unprecedented and extraordinary. Andrew Sinclair is in the newsroom to tell us more. Andrew.
Susie, there are two stories in this week's local figures. The first is that hospital numbers are still rising. There are now 300... ventilation, but every patient takes up a bed, and that's putting pressure on our hospitals. The Queen Elizabeth in King's Lynn says it's planning to open another COVID ward to cope with demand. It was their medical director who talked about things being unprecedented. The Trust chairman told a meeting that this was the most pressurised environment he could ever remember. And most places have now stopped all but essential visitors. Today, the body that oversees hospitals in Norfolk and North Suffolk brought in a 2-week ban.
That's the right sensor.
You know, we've got some very sick, vulnerable patients in our hospitals, and it's really for us to do everything in our power to prevent them from getting COVID whilst they're in hospital. And of course, we need our staff to be protected so they don't get COVID and are able then to come to work.
And another 11 COVID deaths have been announced today, taking the total already this month to 21. And we now have the final tally for October. 137 people died, almost the same number as in September. The other story of the week is this. It's been a long time since I last showed you a map where nearly everywhere has fewer cases than the week before. North Norfolk in orange recorded a very, very small increase. But some of the falls last week were in places which have recently seen a lot of very high cases. South Norfolk, 31% fewer cases this week. Ipswich, Chelmsford, Great Yarmouth, down 28%. Now, this could just be a blip. It was half term last week. Perhaps they were testing fewer people. Or this could be the first sign that we've turned the corner. Health officials say we're going to have to wait a few more weeks before we know for sure.
Andrew, thank you very much. Searches have been continuing today after human remains were found in a house in Norfolk. The discovery was made at a property in Barford Road in Colton. The body has not yet been identified, but officers believe it to be Diane Douglas. Stuart Williamson, who's 56 and from Colton, has appeared in court charged with her murder. Next tonight, have you got any of those small magnetic toys in your house? There's a call for them to be banned after a rise in the number of children swallowing them. Surgeons at Addenbrooke's Hospital say it can have potentially fatal consequences. This from our health correspondent, Nikki Fox.
Down you go! A few weeks ago, 2-year-old Louis Edwards was admitted to Addenbrooke's Hospital. He was bought toy building
Greens look a lot nicer on the Panasonic.
auction site. They perforated his intestine
And the
and
wedge.
he needed major surgery.
They're the little tiny bead magnets that stick together. They're like a fidget toy that I had for my eldest boy, but obviously he got hold of them and he does play with them as well, and me not knowing, he did swallow 2 of them.
Louis had to have his intestine repaired and spent over a week in Addenbrooke's.
I just broke down because you don't want to see your child go through any pain, and obviously afterwards, when they took him out of the surgery, he was all wires and, you know, machine.